Welcome to the Chasing Brighter podcast.
You're about to go on a journey of self-discovery as we chase a brighter you. Every single week, we will bring you new episodes that will cover everything from lifestyle and tips to more serious conversations about grief, life, and hardships.
Allow this show to be a reminder to always keep chasing a brighter version of you. Let's get into it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our final episode on creativity and passions in the month of May. Today, Kelly and I are going to be talking about how creativity improves your physical and your mental health. It is so crazy, Kelly. Are you surprised by that to realize how much of an impact creativity can have on our physical and mental health?
Having gone through this month and spending time and leaning into creativity, you definitely see the benefits.
Yeah, it boosts our mood. It improves our cognitive ability, which we've already been experiencing. It relieves anxiety and stress,
Yeah.
fights depression, helps you get active, and boosts your immune system. So lots and lots of good things there. We love studies. Kelly and I love research and data. So I wanted to make sure I found some research to explain, right, how engaging in creative activities can lower our cortisol levels and promote relaxation. So,
I love that. And I think it's just, there's so much information coming out on weight. What's cool about creativity to me is it's another avenue that you have we're finding a lot of information on things that lower
yeah,
cortisol or improve
right.
immune system. And so these are all these different tools in our toolkit for our lives that will help us.
Yeah. And according to Forbes, studies show that people who write about their experiences daily, which is journaling, folks, have a stronger immune system. Writing increases the CD4 lymphocyte count, which is key to the immune system. Creative activities may also boost the immune system by stimulating the production of endorphins, the body's natural feel-good chemicals. So that's
Yeah.
fascinating too.
Yes. Yeah.
And so just making physical changes to our biology, which we always talk about, right, can be surprising.
Yeah.
I finally did go listen to live music. Did you go listen to live music
I
yet?
did not. No, I have
So
not.
I have never been to Lake Las Vegas. Do you
Okay.
even know what Lake Las Vegas
Yeah,
is?
we drive by it on the
Okay.
way.
Okay.
Um,
So Lake Las Vegas is way out east, and it's like an area that is built around, I'm assuming, a man-made lake, and they have a big hotel there, and it looks very Italian, like it looks like the way the homes are and stuff. We never went out there. So we went out there to the area called like the Villages, and it's so cute. It has an Italian restaurant, a Mexican restaurant, a Japanese restaurant, like little shops. It's so cute. So
is
it's
it
this
designed for 65 and older crowd or anything, or is it
I that's a great question. I would say, yeah, maybe a little older. I don't know, but we went there was like 5 weddings when we went
okay?
there,
Okay.
and I think it's very vacation-y.
Okay.
And so they have a sand beach there, and they have this I'm not I would say more families. They have this floating thing I wanna do with the kids. It's on a bounce house, but
Mhm.
it's floating. It's like this
Yes.
huge
Yes.
island
Yes.
thing that
Uh-huh.
kids can do. So I know a lot of people that will go and like, stay at the hotel there one night. And
Mhm.
I'm like, that I think that could be really fun, right? Walk along the water. So we went to go listen to the music at this place that's called the Speakeasy. And they did have like, they had this bookshelf with a hidden thing. They're supposed to have fun drinks. They had a little charcuterie board. If you serve a charcuterie board, Jessica's there. And it was fun listening to live music. And we had a nice time. The vibe changed because let's think about vacation, right? So a whole bunch of people came in super drunk. I think there's a lot of golfing
Yeah.
there,
Okay.
and it was just like, "Oh, okay, you're annoying." And a lot of people were trying to go up and sing with the musician, and it was like
Oh, no.
and he was really nice and jovial and very nice about it, and then there was this woman, I don't know if she's famous, but she was gorgeous, and I'm like, "Is she like a professional singer?" She went to go stand by him, and he was talking to her, and he let her and she took the microphone. Oh my god. She had to be a professional singer. It was, like, ridiculous. It was amazing. But I'm
Oh,
also like, "Honey, this isn't you're not this isn't your
yes.
stage. What are you
Mhm.
doing?" But anyway, so I found out that music can have a significant impact on how well different areas of our brains communicate with each other. And so people with musical training, so you and I, we learned to play an instrument. You were the clarinet, I was the saxophone. We have improved connectivity between the two hemispheres of our brain, Kelly.
Wow.
And our children also had to be in lessons, and they all learned the piano. Did Becca
Yeah,
learn piano too? Yeah.
he did
So
with
now our
their
children
playmat.
have improved connection as well. So that is fascinating. Again, physically changing our body with creativity.
Yes. So, let's talk about enhanced brain activity too, because there are different things that not only are we talking about just helping with our feel good parts of our brain and the endorphins, but also just with cognitive abilities. And I even noticed it for me with the month of May because I felt much more productive work wise. And I feel like I'm working, I guess I'm going to say working less. I find sometimes, I don't know if you feel this way, where you're doing a lot of busy work and you're not really getting anywhere. And I felt like the month of May, I didn't have it as much. I spent time, whether it's trying to do a drawing, even if it was like 10 or 15 minutes of something
Yeah.
creative, just to squeeze it in throughout the day and then come back to something. And so really trying to even just force myself, for lack of a better word, to do that. Another creative pursuit that improves our cognitive ability is play acting. And there was a study in 2004 with older individuals who participated in theater performances and how it improved their psychological well being after 4 weeks. And this is very much tied to remember the body keeps score. Do you remember that quote? The
Yeah.
body keeps
Yeah.
score
Yeah.
about how just it improved the psychological well being of the participants, even kids. That was the thing I was fascinated with that book. It was like kids who were, let's just say they were like juvenile delinquents who like then joined a theater troupe and then made these miraculous recoveries because they were all faced with trauma, but just
Right.
their overall well-being. So,
Yeah, and I think too, I know you and I don't are not in the theater troupe, but we have kids, and when you're around kids a lot, I think you end up doing play acting. Remember how
yeah,
I think you
playing
performed some.
charades or even playing games
Yeah,
or just being silly and goofy
right.
and
Yeah,
making fun of ourselves or them in a joking way, not to hurt feelings or just being saying silly songs. Both of my boys, we have these rhyme games with their names,
yeah.
and things that make them laugh. We Brian and I even were laughing this week with Wes about something where it was scaring your child or something where they not freaking them out. Wes is older. Wes is always trying to do stuff to us, right? He's a teenager. He thinks he's smarter than we are. So like we try to get in our jabs.
Yeah.
But we just laugh so hard about things where you just like startle them or do things that they don't expect.
I don't know. Do you think this is, like, part of our DNA or whatever? You mentioned scaring. Do you think that we grew up and it was funny to scare people?
It was funny, but like
Okay.
there were some
Okay.
effed up scares.
So, okay,
It was not
so I
healthy.
know, and I know I'm a trauma therapist, but I could so Geo has been he thinks it's funny, and we've had a talk with him. Gabby and Dom don't like it, but he, like, lives to jump and scare you to where it's, "Okay, alright." But anyway, we pulled up to baseball. Gabby and I were a little bit late coming from something in the parking lot, and I saw mom's car. When I got out, mom was in the passenger seat with the door open. She did not know we were there. And she had made they were doing like a barbecue for the team, and she had made like her chocolate sheet cake. She was sitting in her car, and I ran up to the car and I go, "Did you make your chocolate sheet cake?" Really loud. Mom jumped so hard and goes, "Jesus Christ." And I was laughing till I couldn't even stand. I couldn't even stand, and I was, like, laughing so hard I was gonna pee my pants, and I could not stop laughing, and mom was just like, "What the hell's the matter with you?" And I was like, "You didn't know we were right there, like, Gabby's car is right there." And then I turned around to go, and this guy had watched the whole thing, and he was like, "That was so good." And thinking I was in public,
Oh.
but I was like, "I wanna be able to scare mom." I don't know if that does help our brain physically, but it was fun for me. We talked a lot about basically creativity
Mhm.
can change our body, change our biology, but also there are a lot of mental health benefits of creativity. We talked before, boosting your mood, right? Creative
Yep.
activities can boost our mood by producing dopamine and serotonin. Serotonin's a feel good hormone, and those are associated with happiness and well being. Some antidepressants are serotonin
Yep.
reuptake inhibitors.
Yep.
And so we can actually engaging in creativities can naturally produce serotonin, which then obviously would boost our mood. And so I do think for me, and I it is also being social, but just doing that latte art class and continuing to try to practice this week, or like I've been doodling so much more. And I have been feeling like less stressed.
Yeah.
Have you noticed the impact on your mood?
Just just a state of that, like, happiness and being, like, you just feel a little bit more at peace, a little
Yeah.
calmer
Yeah.
than I felt like I had previously, which is really cool. Gotta keep going with this because I think it doesn't take much either. And along those lines, self-expression, so emotional release, whether it's there's a lot of therapeutic benefits of that creative expression. And I think we just talked about it in emotional release of obviously laughter,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it can help people process and cope with emotions, trauma, and grief. And part of even we were talking about the kids in sports and like when they're disappointed or they come from a loss or something and being creative on ways to cheer them up and be silly and be goofy and can help. I think it helps them too in terms of triggering some of the feel good stuff that they can process through stuff sometimes. What they have to feel the feels.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too is like sometimes when you do something that draws forward a lot of like emotion, like of sadness or something, but once you clear through that and you feel better, right? Mm,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I used to do so much more art therapy when I worked with kids, but it can be healing, like we talk so much about in our book club. So I think it can help you feel better. And also, like you're saying, process through those emotions. When we think about journaling and writing about your day as creativity, when, as you and I talked about in another mom talk about going to couples therapy or like struggling in your marriage, like journaling really helped me process through my emotions and process what was happening. And writing is a form of creativity.
yeah. Yeah.
Our book club book, Creativity and Gratitude by
Mhm.
Amy Oistreicher, really focused on resilience, and she had the 4 keys of resilience.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so really engaging in creative pursuits can foster a sense of accomplishment and self-efficacy that leads to greater resilience when we face adversity, which is so
Yep.
amazing to think about.
Yes.
And Amy talks about her journey of healing. And I've always thought that's why I love art, I love crafting it, but even for, like, my clients, when I talk about doing a puzzle, when you accomplish something and you put that last piece of the puzzle in and you feel good about yourself, and I can
Yeah.
just easily see how that builds a positive sense of self, positive self-esteem to finish something.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what I've finished recently, or I think baking is a creative pursuit, and this summer, I was
Yeah.
telling,
Yeah.
Gabby, I really want to tap into gluten-free baking this summer. I found out in 2018 that I can no longer tolerate gluten, and baking was a huge part of my life. And so I really wanna tap into that creative pursuit of seeing if I can create some gluten-free recipes.
Yeah, and I got an adult coloring book, and I've been working my way through that, and even just finishing a page in that is it's just fun to finish something and then move on. It does give you that
Yeah,
sense of
finishing those
accomplishment.
pages, I think is those adult coloring books can be daunting too if it's, like, tiny little
Yeah, yeah.
thing. But I have always think that's an intro into mindfulness because
Yes, I
depending on the
agree.
adult coloring book, and they also have adult color by numbers, but if you're like, okay, all the sixes are green, all the sixes are green, all the sixes are green, right? That is encouraging mindfulness and flow, right? And creativity can encourage mindfulness and the
Yeah.
experience of flow when you're
Mhm.
completely immersed in an
Yes,
activity. It
100%.
leads to heightened focus, heightened satisfaction, and again, that stress reduction of not worrying about tomorrow, not worrying about yesterday, but totally being immersed in that
In
moment.
that moment. Yeah,
Yeah.
and just taking a break from reality, and I agree. I think that's what meditation does. That's why we talk about this being a tool in the toolkit because getting into that flow mode and creativity can be a great way, especially for people who might struggle with, like, getting into meditation,
Yeah.
finding these other avenues that you can still get those same benefits.
100%. And also, I think we have all of our listeners tapped in. They're like, "Okay, Kelly and Jessica, it's gonna boost my immune system. It's gonna change my brain. It's gonna reduce anxiety, reduce depression, physical and mental health. Okay, where do I go from here?" Right?
Yeah, this is about I think the reason why we wanted to focus on this for the month of May was about this is Chasing Brighter is about being the best version of yourself and being inspired to go along that journey of what that means for you. And for us, this is about how can you improve your own health through creativity and finding creative outlets. We encourage you guys to explore different forms of creativity, painting rocks, doing gardening and picking different flower colors. There's so many ways that you can think about creativity. It's not just going to like an oil painting class or a pottery class. It's about infusing who you are and your unique abilities into your everyday life and
Yeah.
different things.
So find that so first is identify that creative outlet and what sounds good. And if it's as simple as an adult coloring book or coloring, you can get those at Dollar Tree, right? You can print them out on your computer. Like we've suggested before, go to a Michael's or a Hobby Lobby or the craft section of your local Target or Walmart and like just pick out something that looks good. Or maybe you already know, I loved theater. I love writing, kind of whatever that is. So you identify it, but then we've got to make time for it. You've got to
Yep.
carve out the time for those creative pursuits while we're also working outside the home, managing the household, driving kids here to there, whatever that is. Can you write it down your schedule? And that brings me back to when we had Megan Sumrell in.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things I loved is she said, get a calendar that shows every hour. And so can
Yep.
you pencil that in, like, literally write in that you're gonna save time for that creative pursuit?
Yeah. And whether it's maybe instead of journaling a couple days a week that you do it while you're having your morning coffee, figure out different ways. If you take a 1 hour lunch break for work and you spend just 10 minutes on some sort of a creative endeavor, it's again, a lot of this stuff is a practice. It's something
Yeah,
that you have to keep consciously making a choice to do to get into the habit of that. And thinking about ways to overcome those creative blocks. So, there are things that, if you want to do something and then you're like overwhelmed, like, what do I do? Let's say if you grab a couple like colored pencils and a notepad and you pull it out of your purse and you're on your lunch break and you're like, what do I do? Just just start with something. Beckett's been watching these YouTube videos about this guy who makes flip books.
oh, I
And he did one, it's his whole story is interesting, and he did like a 900-page flip book. But he was like, "Let's do one that I'm just gonna start with a dot." Like, in terms of if you do something like you wanna draw, you just start with a dot and then draw some petals around it or draw some and just keep going at it. So there's that, but just ways to overcome that is really just go and start. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
perfect. It's going to be messy. Guess what? You're not an artist. That's okay. This is about
A
you doing
paid
this for
professional artist. You are an artist, but you may not be paid at this
yet.
stage.
Yet.
Yeah,
You have to
right.
start somewhere.
That's right.
And so it's really just starting with something. And if it's baking, follow a recipe and then get crazy or pick some different colors of things that you normally do. Try something different. It's all different ways in which you can I think about it too. I think what creativity and why it's rewarding is you're also putting your own like flair on life in some way, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to do that the same way that you are. And that's the cool part about it too, is you get to put your own unique use your own unique point of view on it.
Yeah, and I think just like you're saying, letting go of that perfectionism and doubt and just do
Yeah.
it. Just start with doing it. Like you're saying with the flip book, just put pen to paper and then just see what happens. And then I think our last tip, right? If you want to
Yeah.
cultivate creativity, is fostering a creative environment, right? Look at your surrounding environment and see if there's a way that you may be able to better cultivate a creative space. What I think about too, when I think about environment, is I think the people around you. And here, Stephanie is, and mom, but they're both my crafty friends. Now, you do too, like with mom, like with when any of us, you, mom, or I create something, if like we text each other the picture of, like, hey, I put this together, because we know that we'll appreciate it because we're crafty. And so Stephanie sends me all kinds of reels and links and things on Pinterest of things that she sees that are creative. And sometimes that just gets me, oh, that's such a cute idea. Like she just sent me a thing. Someone found these little kind of cube shaped little mesh zipper bags and they ironed on pool money, like the vinyl, and they ironed on it. It said pool money and they put, like, a little pom on it. I'm like, "That's so cute," and that just reminds me too, remember when you and I would go to the pool and we'd each have, like,
Yeah.
25
To get our
cents
Chick-a
for
Stick and our
yeah,
Dr.
Chick-O Stick
Pepper.
and
Mhm.
the
The dip.
life-size pixie stick.
Yeah.
So I thought that's really cute when you're sharing little things or you're following people who are creative. It
Yeah,
gets
be
your juices
curious, right?
flowing.
And this
Yeah.
is about part of that cultivating environment isn't I need a creative space, but it's about really just mentally getting yourself there, being curious about things, looking at things differently, being more mindful about the creative energy and effort that might be around there or the emotions and thoughts that you have that it's about increasing your own even awareness in that mindset.
And how like a simple thing I do to foster creativity is I'm obsessed with these little tiny fine I love a fine point gel ink pen, ultra fine point, and I always have that in my bag, and I did get like, a little tiny sketchbook, and I just keep it in my purse all the time, and sometimes I just do the little doodles and things like that, that are fun that are just fun to do, and so, also what around a room might inspire you, right? And maybe framing some of that stuff, that's one of the challenges I did this May was with Gabby having been in high school art. I framed all of her artwork, and now I would like to do a water I'm watching videos to do a watercolor of a sunflower that I would like to frame, and so also when you create these things, can you display them in your home that can also kind of excite you and foster even more
Yeah,
creativity?
yeah, I like that. I spent even some time back at practice soccer by a Home Depot that has a huge garden center. It's really nice in Chicago, so all the things are outside, and so I just spent every time I take them to soccer, I actually walk through the garden center, and so my creativity even was about gardening because I just have mostly annuals. I have a little bit of perennials in my front yard, but figuring out like what my layout's gonna be, what flowers I want. And I spent a couple weeks like really being curious about different plants and what was going to be sunlight. I did all this research about what I wanted, and I wanted to do something different than what everybody does. But that's myself and my own creativity is I like to, that's I think where I just talked about like your own creative flair is I wanted to do something a little more unique. And because I don't see the plants I chose, I don't see them out and about. So maybe that was because you shouldn't use them. Or maybe it is,
They're
and
not
it's
in your
just trying to
area.
break the
Yeah.
mold. I think that's a fun
Yeah.
part about leveraging creativity in your everyday life, and I think that was a lot of what advice we have is that this isn't necessarily have to be some, like, you need an art studio. Maybe you do, and maybe you have space for that, and that is amazing.
Yeah.
But maybe you just create these small little moments.
Did you open up the pottery wheel?
No,
Okay. So we need you to pencil that in your calendar. Open up pottery wheel. I am fascinated at
I
if
can't
this
wait
is
to do
gonna
it.
work.
You joked that I should make a latte mug, and so then I was, like, already fast forwarding to, like, actually making it and then putting the latte in it, and then there'll be, like, chunks of clay, like, floating on top of the latte. Like, not intended for,
How do you Yeah, like looking up clay for food prep or whatever, or like food, because I love to go you talk about being in environments, don't I love when I'm traveling, if you can find a spot that has, like, an artist village
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever, and I had never gone to, like, little artist village at Balboa Park in San Diego, and I went and got, like, a couple
Oh.
little bowls. I just love that kind of stuff.
Remember when we Sedona had some really amazing
Yes.
stuff.
I didn't get any bowls or anything, but I love to get a bowl or a plate.
I have been using the espresso mugs that you got me. It's probably the one thing that I do use that you got from Italy. I think you got me didn't you get me espresso mugs when you were in Italy?
Were they clear?
No, they have floral prints on them. I'll send you a picture.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's back when there was a lira. The US dollar was
Yes.
strong and I could get all kinds of souvenirs. But yeah, I think just even, yeah, sometimes purchasing things that inspire you as well or get you going. So I would love to see your budding pottery
It's gonna happen.
artistry.
No,
Yeah.
it's set up. I have my space for it.
You have 48 hours to listen to live music. So I don't care if it's Wes playing trumpet outside. He's never played the trumpet, but there's got to be some kind of little festival, nothing around you for some live music.
Oh, please, there is
Yes.
plenty. There is
Yes. And
plenty.
then I'm gonna be baking, you're gonna be making plates to
Pottery,
serve the
yes.
things on
Mhm.
that I'm making, so it's all coming together. So this was really great. We can always learn something new, and I really was surprised at how many benefits there are to engaging in creativity for our mind and body.
Thanks for listening today. Don't forget to subscribe so you can hear our latest episodes as soon as they drop.
If you loved today's episode, share with a friend. Come visit us on Instagram or Facebook. Make sure to give us a follow. We have lots of giveaways. If you want to know more about Kelly and I, read our blogs, find more tips, tools, and resources, check that out at chasingbrighter.com. Thanks.